Hey, I'm Akanksha Swaroop. Now, a rare protest in China was swiftly ended in Beijing on Thursday. This, just days before Xi Jinping is set to secure an unprecedented third term as China's president. CNN has geolocated the images to an overpass which is in Beijing's Haidan district. Interestingly, Xi Jinping will secure his third term during the CCP National Congress, which begins on October 16. And that's why today we discuss a very interesting aspect of the CCP, which is the lack of female representation not just in the CCP but also in the Politburo of China. Did you know that the Politburo Standing Committee has never had a single woman in its rank even 100 years after its founding? And that's not expected to change this year either. And here's why I say so. The PSC members will be chosen from the ranks of the 19th Politburo, and this year it contains only one woman, and her name is Sun Chunlan. In fact, Chunlan is not even seen as a contender for promotion. Why? Only because she is 72 and expected to retire. Broadly speaking, the number of women who make it to the Politburo will determine whether there's any hope of seeing a female PSC member in the year 2027. Moreover, women's representation has taken a step back at the 19th Party Congress. The 18th Politburo had included two women, Liu Yandong and Sun Chunlan. In fact, at the 20th National Party Congress in China, we could see a drop to 0. This development would only further encroachment on women's rights and bodily autonomy. Here are some grim and shocking findings that throw light on female representation in Chinese politics. The CCP came to power in 1949, and not even once has a woman been appointed to China's political body. This is the 7-member Politburo Standing Committee. A female as China's top leader is a mere distant dream. Of the nearly 92 million members of the CCP, just under 28 million are women. And that, by the way, means that only about a fifth are women. Also, Vice Premier Sun Chunlan is the only woman on the Politburo currently. It should be noted that a 25-person panel that reports to the Standing Committee. Despite China's economic and social rise, men continue to dominate the country's political arena. It's important to note that a host of structural and cultural reasons explain the lack of female politicians in China. Firstly, the retirement age for female party cadres, civil servants and employees of state enterprises in China is set at 55 years. This is 5 years before their male counterparts. Moreover, female politicians are typically put in areas like education, United Front propaganda and social policies. Needless to say, these are not areas considered as a fast track to the top, especially when compared with male-dominated specializations like policing, internet censorship and the military. And not just that, traditional gender norms in Chinese society are perhaps also a reason for the institutional gender hurdles. Like several other countries, women in China too are expected to play their allotted role, that is, at home. In fact, under the leadership of Xi Jinping, the Chinese government has ramped up pressure as China is facing a declining birth rate. Moreover, woman power would threaten the status quo and patriarchy. Let's also try and get in a sense of perspective on what this lack of female representation means for China and how does this translate onto the CCP and the Politburo Standing Committee. And for that, I'm joined in by CNN's Christy Liu Stout, who's joining us from Hong Kong. Christy, thank you so much for joining my discussion today. My first question, of course, is the obvious one. What explains the lack of female representation in the Politburo Standing Committee?
You know, that is such an astute question. Look, the Politburo Standing Committee is not representative of China. In fact, the 20th Party Congress is not representative of the population of China. Attending this conference, as we've seen in previous Congresses, is you see members of the Communist Party who are business executives, who are provincial officials, who are even farmers or laborers, but in the past only just over a quarter are women. Not representative of the population of China, but representative of the higher end of power of the political elite, especially the Communist Party in China. Back to you.
Christy, a protest in Beijing was swiftly ended on Thursday. Could you tell us more about the opposition being faced by Xi Jinping before he secures a third term?
Yeah, and Akanksha, that was an incredible, rare and brazen protest that took place that was directing its ire not just against China's zero COVID policy, but also the core leader himself, the Chinese president, Xi Jinping. Look, in the run-up to this party Congress, there has been rising anger and frustration in China that's been manifested online and on social media and also in the real world. Anger about frozen bank deposits. Anger about China's punishing zero COVID strategy, which has disrupted both lives and livelihoods. And the Chinese government has been responding with security clampdowns, with censorship by scrubbing all forms of dissent off the internet and off social media as well, and by saying stability is paramount, and any criticism out there about human rights is an example of Western propaganda or foreign interference. But Akanksha, analysts do point out that there will be more such scenes of protest, whether it's virtual or real world ahead, especially as China's economy continues to slow, and especially if China continues to hold on to this tough zero COVID policy. Akanksha.
All right. Many thanks to you, Christy, for sharing your precious insights with us.